It's another hell of a joint, and it's a vibe, man. When you vibing, you know it's a vibe. With all these pounds in.
Welcome to Sis Got Lit, here to put you on to what's lit in these streets. Today's video for some will be an intro into hip-hop, and for others, a walk down memory lane. At Sis Got Lit, we believe we have a responsibility to the culture to not just show what hip-hop is, but why it is. And to understand why, you know we're gonna have to take it back to the beginning. This video will break down hip-hop's evolution and what it is about this genre of music that after 40 years still remains the voice of the culture. From the 1960s through the 1970s, disco became the new wave of music, and it had an up-tempo beat that encouraged you to dance. But by the late 1970s, it will be on its way out. A music genre called funk would be its replacement. Funk was a mix of disco's tempos with a soulful rhythm and blues backbone. From funk came hip-hop. Listen to this snippet of a song from Zapp and Roger released in 1980 called More Bounce to the Ounce. Then comment below if you can hear how funk influenced hip-hop. Hip-hop would become the new soundtrack to getting down on the weekends. And the new wave of talent was being assembled by some kids making a lot of noise and coming up with dope rhymes. Even though their rhymes was about partying, these kids ain't have it easy. I mean, most of them came from families that were financially struggling, in neighborhoods that had been eaten alive by heroin and then the crack cocaine epidemic. But what they did have was a sense of community and some stories to tell. And every weekend, the community would gather together at skating rinks, house parties, and basketball and tennis courts to listen to the DJ spin the freshest records out. On the weekends, the hood, it'd be lit. Sometimes they would even bring one of their boys from off the block to control the crowd and spit a couple rhymes. It seemed like the DJs and MCs that were getting the crowd lit at the parties every weekend were becoming famous overnight. In the beginning, it looked like hip-hop was pushing the ladies to the side, forgetting we had a story to tell too, offering us the roles of the groupie, video girl, baby moms, or mom dukes. But for the ladies, that would never be good enough. And soon, they tell their own stories too. 1978, the Boogie Down Bronx. Hip-hop started with a beat, smothered within a rhythm that begged anyone who listened to lay their stories down on the track. The best MC could spit a dope rhyme over any beat, no matter how the DJ flipped it. By the 1980s, hip-hop was becoming known not just for its music, but as a way of life. Before we knew it, the music had blew up and grown into an American subculture. In the early years of hip-hop, its followers had felt like they were overlooked and left out of the so-called American dream. They felt like they had no chance to build a good life. And due to the systematic oppression being forced on minorities in the boroughs of the NYC, most of them were right. Since these kids didn't know what tomorrow may bring, number one on their list was the party tonight. So early hip-hop was filled with rhymes about the good times, so they had something to groove to. The genre hit a milestone with Funky 4+1 being the first rap group to be signed in 1977, although hip-hop wouldn't see a song hit the Billboard charts until Sugar Hill Gang's Rapper's Delight in '79. In 1982, hip-hop would experience another first with its venture into reality rap, what would soon be coined gangsta rap with Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five's The Message. By the late 1980s, hip-hop would spread to the West Coast, California to be exact. And they didn't care who they offended to get their story out, which they would show us on NWA's 1988 single, F the Police. Soon, hip-hop would evolve to incorporate music, street art, dance, fashion, movies, and TV. As if a perfect storm was forming, hip-hop was coming together. In late 1960s Philadelphia, two writers named Cornbread and Kool Earl wanted to make a name for themselves around the city, just like later the DJs and MCs of the South Bronx would do. The way they would go about getting the exposure they were looking for would be to tag their name around the city wherever they could find space, although tagging your moniker wouldn't really become street code until the 1980s. If hip-hop was a soundtrack to the movie, then street art was a backdrop to the scenes. Street art and hip-hop were married together because just like with rap music, it was loud, some may even say vulgar, it was big, and once you laid eyes on it, just like with its hip-hop counterpart, you would remember it forever. The tornado that was hip-hop was picking up speed. The DJ had mastered the beat, so now it was time to two-step. Early hip-hop's nene was called breaking, also known as break dancing, because to onlookers, it appeared like the dancers were breaking their bones while they were dancing. Breaking didn't discriminate. There would be B-girls and B-boys twisting, spinning, tutting, popping, and locking to the beat. Hip-hop is the poetry of the streets. When this genre of music first came about, no one thought that 4 decades later it would be more beloved than at its onset. Now there have been 2 generations that have grown up with hip-hop, and believe it or not, there are people riding hip-hop's culture wave without knowing or respecting what it really is. Hip-hop gave a voice to the voiceless. Hip-hop gave the kids in the hood a reason to dream when before its presence, life had taught them there was no reason to. There are a lot of us who have grown up in homes that were broken, and when we cried out foul, there was no one who cared. So through hip-hop's testimonies, we began to find out we weren't the only ones out there lonely, scared, hungry, sad, or angry. And it wasn't our fault. Hip-hop also was a medication when we wanted to feel good inside. You could call upon hip-hop. If you were misunderstood, hip-hop had an open ear to listen to you. If you just wanted to celebrate or party, hip-hop still was the remedy. Hip-hop has become so popular and resonated with so many because the genre really does tell the story of the American dream, if there is such a thing. These were kids that grew up believing because how society treated them, that they didn't matter and their culture wasn't valued. But by this creative outlet, they were able to give society the finger and say, you'll need us before we'll need you. And it worked. Today, hip-hop is more diverse in its styles than all other music genres combined. This channel was created to celebrate everything that hip-hop has to offer. But before we could do that, we had to make sure if you were riding with us, you knew what we were riding for. If you enjoyed this mini doc, make sure you check out Define the Culture, coming soon, to break down the lingo and lifestyle on the streets of late 1970s through the early 80s hip-hop. Stay lit, comment, and subscribe. What are you waiting for? It's a vibe. Hey, don't forget to smack that thumbs up. And as always, thank you for rocking with Sis Got Lit.
we wanna call it. I ain't worried about no